What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto, and welcome to a new live stream this Wednesday evening. We're going to do a live stream this time around in relatively bullish market circumstances, but we will talk about the same, right? So we'll talk about Bitcoin. We'll talk about majors. I think majors are a little bit more interesting. We will start off with fundamentals, and then we'll end with altcoins and requests. So welcome back to yet another live stream. This week we are doing daily live streams every single day, as most of you already know, I think by now. And then next week, to be honest, I've thought about it a little bit. And earlier yesterday, I was thinking of doing something fun on a day, and I was like, okay, when am I going to do that? The only normal, like usually the only time I have free time if I don't plan it is in the evening. And right now we're doing these live streams in the evening, so I'm not sure if we're going to do them daily again next week, but we will 100% be doing these live streams more often. At this point of time, I'm thinking something like 3 times a week, right? So three times a week, and if we have some major news coming out, we'll add one, or we'll detract one if the market is if the markets are very boring, right? But okay, let me quickly tell everybody that we are live. Yeah, and then we'll get to the markets. The markets at this point of time are very interesting, I think. We actually got the breakout. I mean, yesterday we were talking about that, about a potential breakout. I thought it was unlikely that we would break out, but still, we talked about the possibility, right? And I also told you it's definitely a possibility. I just thought that that it was, when we're talking about the possibilities that are available, I thought it wasn't the most likely one, but at the same point of time, I also did not necessarily think that shorting was the right idea. Okay, one more place, and then we are ready to go, and then we'll use the same structure that we have used for all these live streams. Yes, and okay, we're good to go. Okay, so good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Broodje Kapsalon, welcome to the stream back again. Shaira, welcome. Ryan, welcome back. Messiah, welcome. Alex, welcome. User, Navid, welcome to the stream, everybody. Daniel, good to see you all back here. We're going to do the same as what we did the last 2 days, but obviously right now the market circumstances are significantly more interesting. So I already have some thoughts on Bitcoin. I have some thoughts on some other majors, because we have actually seen some relative strength. So we'll talk about that. But first of all, for those of you tuning in a little bit later, or for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, or if you're watching this tomorrow, etc., that's all fine. Let me quickly readjust my camera. What we're going to do is we'll start off with fundamentals. Then we'll talk about Bitcoin plus majors, right? So majors is Ethereum, XRP, maybe also something like Dogecoin. I think Dogecoin is quite interesting. Then we'll talk about altcoins with, basically momentum or, other POI, point of interest. And then we'll do our famous requests. And this should take about 30 minutes. So we'll see. In the last 2 live streams, I was not able to do it in 30 minutes. So we will see. And then in the meanwhile, Yoandre, welcome. Adam, welcome to the stream. Imran, welcome to the stream. Saiz Ravan, welcome to the stream. Long Mountain, how are you? So in the meanwhile, I'll keep an eye on the chat, and maybe here and there I'll answer some questions. Otherwise, we'll get to it during the requests, right? And if you have questions about anything I'm saying while I'm analyzing, right? Because the key idea and the key, value that I think these streams can have is that we're talking about real trading setups, right? So I think what we spoke about yesterday, obviously Bitcoin was consolidating right here, and we spoke about that level at 69,000 and a potential breakout. We broke out this morning. I saw the breakout, but I thought it was a little bit more likely due to the timing, right? I mean, I've never seen, or at least I've not seen it in a long time, that a London session or pre-London session breakout actually works. Well, today it actually did. And outside of that, I thought the fundamentals this morning actually were quite, significantly more bearish as well. So I thought, okay, maybe it's better to wait for some sort of a short setup, and ultimately that was the best breakout we could have gotten. But in my opinion, like we rallied up to 71,000 very quickly. And then at 71,000, like there was a long, obviously, into our main target at the previous month value area high. But then the risk reward was quite difficult to get. So personally, I did not trade Bitcoin today. I did open a different trade, but I think on Near or something, I still have a position open. Yeah, on Near, I still have a short position open. I think Near in general has reached some sort of a local top, and Near today has actually been quite weak as well. But that is de-risked, right? So I have a small short position open on Near, but that's about it. Do I still have it open? Yeah, but it's a very small position. But you can see what 1.35 area I'm in, right? So that position I'm in, but we'll talk about some new positions today. So let's get right into it. First of all, fundamentals at this point of time are not bad. We have a very strong Coinbase Bitcoin premium. This is super bullish, right? Not only for right now, but also going into the rest of March, going into April. This is very bullish. As long as it stays this high, and I can zoom out for all of you and show you how significant this is actually not true. I mean, you cannot see it right now. Can I not? No, I can't. But you'll see it here. I mean, the last time we had a Coinbase Bitcoin premium like this is a very long time ago, and that basically shows that there is more demand coming in from the United States, and historically that's very bullish. Outside of that, if we talk about some other things going on at this point of time, oil prices are still high, but they're no longer rallying. Volatility index, so that's unrest and instability in the markets, or expected instability in the markets, has come down, so that's bullish. And equities have been very strong. This chart is absolutely the most messy chart I have, but equities, you can see some green, right? And that's most important. So no, I mean, ultimately the fundamentals at this point of time are quite good. Bitcoin has been able to hold or break above the previous month value area high. We're generally seeing quite a lot of strength in the markets. So at this point of time, I think you have to have a bullish bias on the markets. That's just the way it is. I think the technicals confirm that. I think the fundamentals confirm that. So a bullish bias, yes. Does that mean that I absolutely will not short anymore? No. Because the thing is, looking at Bitcoin and starting with Bitcoin right here, is that yes, we are bullish, definitely. However, I think this breakout above the previous month value area high is quite fragile, right? You can already see on the 15-minute time frame right here, and on the 30-minute time frame that we are getting bearish divergences. And as long as that goes right, it goes right? But at the same point of time, like funding rates are also still very negative. So we're very much still at this point of time in short liquidation mode. And that's great. And we can expect that to continue, I would argue. And next price target is right here between 75, 76. Here you can see that we have the quarterly VWAP, I think, at 76,000. But if you're longing Bitcoin right now, it is tricky, right? Because where are you putting the stop loss? You can put some sort of a tight stop loss under the previous month value area high. That is a possibility, but that's personally, there's not enough confluences for me to take a trade like that. On the other side, I don't think this is most likely. But if Bitcoin actually does reclaim back below the previous month value area high, and we trap some longs, for example, at the moment, absolutely no longs are trapped. But if we do that, I think this short setup is not bad, right? A reclaim below the previous month value area high in combination with another confluence, such as trapping longs or getting some sort of a, sustained structure break. I think this is more interesting to me at this point of time than just shorting, than just longing Bitcoin right here. But it's a little bit mixed, right? Because ultimately my bias is bullish. I just think that that buying right now is a little bit late, at least if you're targeting the short term. Long term, I think buying right here is still fine, right? Because as I said before, I think in March and April, Bitcoin can rally into the 90-day rolling VWAP right here, maybe even into the low 80s. So there's definitely potential for Bitcoin to rally up higher, and everything points towards the upside. Most things at this point in time are pointing towards a bullish direction. It's just more difficult to trade that. Now, what we have seen today is some more strength for other majors. So ETH, BTC, so Ethereum has shown some strength, but is still within the range. XRP, some strength. We got some momentum right here, but ultimately it is still in a downtrend. Dogecoin, however, is showing a lot of strength. And I think Dogecoin is a major that we actually should pay attention to and look for trade setups. AFEX, not so much. Litecoin still weak. Solana is still very stable. Now, I know a lot of you are interested in XRP as well, and personally, I do like trading XRP. So let's have a quick look at that. But the thing is that, yeah, so something like this, I posted about this on X. Something like this I would like, right? So what XRP did with the momentum that we had earlier is we pushed above the previous month VWAP. We pushed above the value area high at 1.44, but we left a single print, and the point of control of this move, it's a very thin horizontal line, is sitting right here at 1.42 as well. So XRP, I'm interested in buying this, and similar, like if you look at the higher time frames, I think XRP can rally into the previous month value area high, and if we actually do gain some more momentum and volume keeps increasing, it is increasing today, but if it keeps increasing, I think we can rally higher than that as well. But it's always a game of risk and reward, right? So at the moment, I do think it's most likely XRP will rally up higher, but for me, what a good trading setup looks like is a strong reaction right here into 1.42 and then a reclaim of 1.44, right? So this would basically be testing critical areas within the range that we just broke above and then reclaiming the breakout, basically filling inefficiencies that we left down below, and then reiterating and reconfirming that a breakout is most likely. So XRP, something like this, I would be interested in if we get some bad news, right? I mean, bad news can always spoil the fun. If we get some bad news, I might look at this level right here at 1.38. 1.38, we have the previous week VWAP, the 7-day rolling VWAP, and the single print. So that's a high confluence level there. But I don't think it's likely we'll drop down into that level as long as there's no bad news coming in. What I think is a little bit more interesting in terms of majors, like majors for me are the best things to trade. What I think is a little bit more interesting is Dogecoin. I made a video on Dogecoin this morning, and there we spoke about the possibility of a major short squeeze, because what you can see is that over the course of the last couple of days, but also the last couple of months, I'll show you that right here. What you can see on Dogecoin is that the CVD has massively decreased, and during major moments of open interest increases, right? So basically shorts opening, the CVD went down, open interest went up, right? So you can actually see that apart from the 14th of February, we actually had a lot of shorts coming into the price of Dogecoin, and there have been especially a lot of shorts coming into the price right here yesterday. So that creates a lot of fuel to move into the upside. You can see now we broke above this relevant level right here at 10 cents and 9.8 cents, where we have the 30-day rolling VWAP, the previous month VWAP, and the point of control of that range. And this is the monthly value area. So Dogecoin, actually, I like a lot. I think Dogecoin, if we can get some sort of a, well, what would I look for? I mean, maybe something like this, right? I mean, this is very greedy to get a move all the way into 9.6 and then reclaiming the 30-day rolling VWAP. But ultimately, we have the previous month value area high sitting at 10.6. I think we can rally into the 11 and 12 cent area as well for Dogecoin later in March, maybe April. So again, I wouldn't buy right now just for the fact that we have 5 single prints below the price right here. But I do think Dogecoin is actually a very good option to trade if we get some sort of a spike back into the range, right? So something like this, then a reclaim back above this level at 9.8, 9.9 cents, long it into those gaps and into the critical resistance levels to the upside. That is what I think on majors right now. And the other majors like Ethereum is not bad to trade. Definitely not. There is potential, but Ethereum is at resistance also single prints to the downside. So then I would say just trade Bitcoin, right? I mean, we know that ETH BTC is also, it has been strong today, but ultimately it's still within the range, right? So then I've said this yesterday and the day before as well, but then my normal intuition is always, why then trade it, right? I mean, why trade Ethereum when I can also trade Bitcoin? 90% of the time, that is my preferred choice, I'd say. KMNLW, welcome to the stream. Bray, welcome everybody. Lift Heavy, how are you all doing? Dolly, welcome to the stream. Michael, welcome to the stream. Let's see. Wouter, I missed quite a lot of messages. Welcome to the stream, everybody. So we covered the majors, which is what I trade most at this point of time. 15 minutes in, I think we're doing quite good. We still have to talk about some altcoins. I do think there are interesting altcoins at this point of time, although it's good to realize that the Bitcoin dominance is increasing rapidly, right? So whenever the Bitcoin dominance is increasing rapidly like this, with quite a lot of momentum, there's quite a lot of momentum behind it as well. It's good to realize that Bitcoin is going to be strong, and whenever there's a pullback for Bitcoin, which is a possibility, at the moment Bitcoin is still very strong, of course, as I just said. But if Bitcoin actually pulls back below the 73,000 mark here, and we get a structure break because of the bearish divergences, and we trap some longs, and Bitcoin starts pushing down, because of that Bitcoin dominance, altcoins are going to be absolutely crushed. So it is absolutely critical that we do pick the altcoins that are relatively strong. So that I do want to, I did want to talk about, and that's what we're going to do. We'll use these spaghetti charts. We'll also use the, a normal momentum screener. So that's what we're going to do. Let me quickly go over some comments. Jamal, welcome to the stream. Gold and silver, maybe we'll cover those a little bit later during the requests. I was looking at it earlier, but ultimately they're still very bullish, right? So they're deep pullbacks, but it's fine. El Matador, a pullback into 71,000 for Bitcoin. Yes, I do think so. But Jamal, Doge has rallied, but it can rally up higher due to the shorts that are still in the price. And but I would wait for a pullback. But ultimately, it can rally up higher. Ryan, you have a 71,000 entry on shorts. Oh, that is a tricky one. Where do you have your stop loss? Honestly, I like a pullback into 71,000. I think is possible. I think even a pullback into 69,000 is possible, but it's definitely not the direction of the market right now, right? The market at this point of time, and if we zoom in on the order flow, like you can see a lot of shorts getting into the price right here for Bitcoin, right? So basically for the last, well, what is it? For the last 3 or 4 hours, you see shorts coming into the price continuously, but ultimately there's more longs coming in, and ultimately those shorts seem to be absorbed. So this is a sign of strength, and we can break down, but at this point of time, I don't see sufficient evidence that we actually will break down. So then we can also still rally into 75,000, 76,000 before we ultimately get a pullback, right? So dropping down into 71,000, I think that's quite likely. I also think it's quite likely that we're just going to pull back in overnight, but it's not the name of the game. It's not the direction of the market right now. Nicola, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Okay, let's talk about some altcoins. There's a couple of altcoins that I wanted to talk about, and generally their structure and what to look for them. And then we'll do requests. And then maybe today we will actually be able to keep this live stream at 30 minutes. It's always fun, these live streams, guys. Thank you for being here. Without all of you, it would be... I'd still probably enjoy making these live streams, but a whole lot less, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, so there's a couple of altcoins that I wanted to look at. One of them is an altcoin that we have spoken about the last 2 days already, and that is Pump. I think Pump.fun has had significant momentum over the course of the last 2 days. which matters, right? I mean, if momentum is actually continuous and if momentum comes back for a prolonged period of time, I think that's very interesting. And right now, structurally, the main level that we were talking about yesterday was right here at 0.2 cents. We have been able to break above that. We've also broken above the previous month VWAP. We've broken above the 30-day rolling VWAP. I think it can be quite volatile here on the lower time frames for pump. By the way, let me quickly do this, right? So write the names of the coins on the chart. I think it can be quite volatile, but it looks more and more likely to me as long as pump holds the 30-day rolling VWAP. And a breakdown below is always possible, right? But ultimately that we reclaim that, I think it becomes more and more likely that pump is going to get a move into that level at 0.23 cents right here, into the 90-day rolling VWAP. Structure-wise, we have already fully broken the bearish structure, right? So that is already solved. And we're also maintaining that momentum on the very lower, on the lower time frames. Broke above the 30-day rolling VWAP, held that, broke above 0.2 cents. I think pump is definitely an altcoin you need to keep your eyes on. And I think it can rally up higher. Although, like I said, short term, it may get quite volatile. And why I'm telling you that it can be quite volatile on the lower time frames. The main reason for that is this, right? So we have a lot of gaps. We have gaps right here at 0.196 cents. We have a gap at the 30-day rolling VWAP. So something like this on the lower time frames, like you should be ready for that. And that's definitely a possibility. But despite that, the general direction seems to be to the upside. And I do think it's strong enough to keep that up. So pump is one. Zcash, I was looking at this earlier. Zcash is gaining momentum, but structurally, it has not broken the structure, right? So you can see this is the high from which we made the low. So we need to break above that to actually break the structure. It has had a lot of momentum right now, but it hasn't broken it. So as long as the bearish structure is intact, which is a very strong bearish structure, as you can see for Zcash, again, by the way, let me quickly write that on the chart. As long as that is intact, I would avoid this. But if Zcash is able to break above 250 sustainably, so break above that, hold it, or break above it with a gap, this can be a coin that can rally much higher, but then because then we have a pretty significant structure break, and then all of a sudden we can rally into 285, where we have the previous month value area high. That is already a 13% move, and we might even be able to get into, although this is very optimistic, we might even be able to get a move into the previous year VWAP and the value area low, which would be a 30% move. So interesting altcoin to keep your eyes on as well. Earlier this evening, I was also looking at Athena. There are some signs, if you zoom in right here, there are some signs that Ethereum beta coins are strong. But I must say that I don't see a lot of that right now. But ENS, right, so Ethereum Name Service, has been quite strong. Right, so ENS has already broken off the 7-day rolling VWAP, has broken off the 30-day rolling VWAP, is gaining open interest, so momentum. Volume is also increasing, so this clearly has momentum. There's a strong resistance level right here at 6.8, 6.7 cents dollars. I think we can rally into that. I think we might even have a possibility to get a breakout there. Because ultimately ENS has a lot of gaps into the upside, which we can potentially quite easily rally into. So ENS, definitely an altcoin to watch. And then if we look at what has momentum right now, I don't necessarily like a lot out of it. Like Mantra is a new listing, but that is just Ohm, right? And most of you will remember what happened with Ohm. But Ohm crashed like what, 95% in a matter of an hour last year. So that is a coin I think you have to ignore. I think a lot of the possibilities and a lot of the opportunities in the market right now lay with over shorted coins. And unfortunately, or well, maybe fortunately for us, a lot of the over shorted coins are actually some of the majors, right? So if you look at something like Curve DAO, some of you might know this. It's also Ethereum beta. It's DeFi. If you look at Curve and you look at the open interest and the CVD over the course of the last couple of months, right? So here you can see it from December onwards, I think. Can I also get open interest or not? Come on, guys. Get me some open interest real quick. Yeah, so if you zoom all the way out for Curve. what you can see is that the CVD, right? So this is basically the net between buys and sells, right? So if the CVD, the orange line, goes down, that means more sells than buys. What you can see is that the open interest, so the amount of positions, has massively increased since January. And at that same point of time, the CVD has massively decreased. So that means that there's a bunch of shorts that have gotten into the price of Curve. And that just makes coins like that, even though, you know, on the higher time frames, it's extremely bearish, right? I mean, if you look at a chart like this, you'd say, why in the hell would you buy this? But then if you zoom in and you know that all of those shorts are in those positions, then all of a sudden you see down here that the volume is increasing. So this is Curve, right? So CRV. You see that the volume is increasing. You see some more momentum right here. You can see volatility is picking up. We broke above the 7-day to 30-day rolling VWAP. Then all of a sudden you have the previous month value area high at 0.27 cents. But all of a sudden then it becomes a very interesting potential buy. Especially if we get this breakout. Then we have momentum that's ramping up. We have a potential structure break, right? So this was the neutral structure that we had down here. Potential structure break into the upside. And then you have a bunch of fuel that we can use for a rally into the upside. We have a bunch of gaps to the upside that we can fill into at 30 cents, at 33 cents, maybe even 40 cents. So coins like these are the coins that you want to focus on right now. And those coins are very often, it's the older coins, right? So it's also something like SUI. Even SUI, this was my last analysis. I think this was quite accurate. Even something like SUI has been very shorted. Something like Athena has been over-shorted. So coins like that on the lower time frames, they're going to be volatile. And if you are an opportunistic long trader, you're going to get squeezed out, right? It's going to be volatile. But ultimately, I think those are the major opportunities over the course of the next 3 months. So whenever anything happens that I think, okay, that's actually interesting, I'll try to tell you on the spot. At the moment, like I said, I think ENS is quite strong, so Ethereum Name Service. So keep your eyes on that, but the other altcoins I mentioned as well. Okay, guys, that's the trade routine. That's what I think you need to know about trading, about the market right now in terms of majors, Bitcoin. Like I said, Bitcoin, most important level by far is 73,000. We need to hold that, and ultimately we need to start to see some momentum, right? I mean, if the momentum starts drying up, it becomes more likely that we're going to see this move into the downside. So those are my thoughts for Bitcoin. Due to the Bitcoin dominance, that is very important for the rest of the markets as well. But there are 100% a lot of opportunities for altcoins as well. Let's get to the requests, okay? I'm very interested to hear what all of you want to, what all of you are interested in. So let's talk about that. Navid, time frames very different. Spot trades usually the daily time frame. Swing trades usually daily into 4 hour, sometimes into 1 hour. Intraday trades, I go as low as the 30-minute time frame, 15-minute time frame, sometimes even the 5-minute time frame. Okay, everybody, if you requested something, please request it again. I think that's the best way to actually cover this, because then I can see everybody that's still here and wants something to see. If I scroll up in the chat, I might see some old requests, and those people might be eating right now. They might be in bed. Who knows? So that's the best way to go about it. Alex, Worldcoin we're going to cover, because I think Worldcoin is interesting as well. I did not cover that, but I do think it is. Because Worldcoin has a potential breakout right here. We broke above the value area high at 41.5 cents. So I think a long position is generally what we would be interested in. However, I do think, here you can see a bit of a blow off top, liquidation spike. What I would love to see on Worldcoin is there's 2 main support levels that I'm looking at. It's 41 cents, the previous month value area high, and it's this single print. And the perfect setup on Worldcoin would be this. Spike down into the 7-day rolling VWAP, reclaim of the previous month value area high, long at the retest or long at the breakouts, and that's it, okay? This I would be very interested in for Worldcoin, Generally, I think we have a good chance to hold this breakout, but I am not just going to place a limit order at the breakout, right? Because if you would place a limit order at the breakout, it would be this, right? So a long order at 41.5 cents, move into the quarterly VWAP, and then stop loss under the point of control or something. Like this can work, certainly, but it is... it's a little bit too risky for me to do. I'd prefer to see, and on the higher time frames, it might still look the same, but I would prefer to see something like this. But Worldcoin in general, structurally, very important. Broodje Kapsalon, we definitely watched Doge. We spent some time on it. But in short, I think the main opportunity, I think we're going to rally up higher, but the main opportunity, it may hit, it may not, is a retest at this level between 9.8 and 9.6 cents. Solana, Daniel, you know, in terms of buying, honestly, like buying was right here, right? Buying was within the range. Right now, when we're looking into the upside, assuming this is a real breakout, which by the way, this can still turn into a fake out, which is something you definitely need to take into account. But assuming this is a real breakout for Solana, at the moment, I would say that the main targets would be 100. That's a 13% move. And 110, that's a 24% move. If you think that is most likely as well, then buy right now. But I do think it's a little bit too late to buy spot Solana for two reasons. First of all, you've already missed quite a lot of gains, about 12% from the middle of the range. And then outside of that, there is a possibility that we're just going to pull back. So if you really want to buy Solana, buy it right now. Otherwise, wait for some sort of a pullback, maybe even a, you know, you don't know what's going to happen, but maybe even some sort of a fake out, buy Solana then. Because on the lower time frames, and I've said this quite often, you know, I've said this quite often. I've said in all of my Solana videos, I think we're forming a local bottom right here, and I think we're going to move into 100 and 110. So it's not that it was not expected that at some point of time we would move up higher. General, welcome to the stream. Sonic, let's do that. Atomic Joker, that specifically I don't know. 74,400, I don't really see the significance in that level. It's not that it's wrong. So I'm not certain. It looks most likely that if we are going to rally up higher here, I think we're going to into 75 or 76. So in that sense, I do expect a pullback into 71,000. But I think if we're going to rally before doing that, I think we're going to rally a little bit higher. Okay, Sonic. Let's have a quick look at Sonic. By the way, everybody, should I add some music to these live streams? I used to do live streams back in 2023 and 2024, and I added, you know, lo-fi hip hop to the background. It was quite chill because I also had my like it also played on my desktop, so it was also it was quite chill. But let me know if that would be interesting. Bybit is delisting Sonic. Yeah, Sonic at the moment, it's down bad, obviously. Oof. No, it's not looking great. Because of my general bullish bias on the markets, I think it has a chance here, but there's no exceptional momentum. Volume is quite low. There is a little bit of open interest coming into the price, but it's relatively low. So based on that, I would say I would give a negative advice on Sonic, unfortunately. If you want to buy Sonic, you may just as well buy another altcoin, because Sonic is quite weak at the moment, and I don't expect it to generally deviate from the market direction, right? Hedera, and then we will do Pepe. Yeah, so Hedera is quite clear. It's quite clear but tricky. In the sense that if you watch my previous videos on Hedera, what I said is that I expect this to happen at some point of time. I still expect this. But the thing is that with Hedera, we have our range high sitting right here at 10.35 cents. And then just above that, we have the 90-day rolling VWAP. So I do think that maybe we stay within the range a little bit longer. Hederas is also not necessarily very strong. I do think we'll break out, but the breakout is going to be a bit tricky. It's probably going to be something like this. Find resistance at the 90-day rolling VWAP, compress a little bit, and then ultimately break out. But generally bullish on H-bar, medium term, and short term, it looks a little bit more likely to stay within the range, honestly. Compared to Bitcoin that has obviously broken out, and a lot of altcoins have broken out, but Hederas is relatively weak. It's strong within the range. That's why I would expect a breakout, but it is weak in general. Rain, a recovery pump for power. Yes, it is very possible because it is very manipulated. But I personally would not bother with it for two reasons. First of all, it is very manipulated. But second of all, it has also decreased in momentum significantly. It was, throughout the last 3 weeks or so, always top 10 in momentum. And it has now dropped down significantly lower. So that does decrease the possibility of getting some sort of a breakout. Look at this Pepe long, by the way. I'm testing a new algorithm based on one of my indicators. It's a mean reversion indicator, right? So you can see right here that that the mean reversion indicator fired, and then if we get to momentum, it fires a long signal. Just testing it. It's quite interesting. It's fully automated as well, so that makes it more interesting. But no, I mean Pepe, to talk about the chart here. It's gaining momentum, but it is not necessarily very interesting as of right now. It's still within the range. It's still rotational. If we look at the previous month range or something, so something like this, yeah, it broke above the point of control. Like Pepe, it's quite similar to the market. I do expect this to rally up higher. So into the 30-day rolling VWAP, into 0.4 cents. I do expect that, but it's... No, I do expect that. I think it's most likely that will generally move into that area. And from there, we'll see again. That's quite a strong resistance level. But I do think we're going to be able to move into that. Maybe do something like this right first. Get a bit of a retest, and then get that move into the upside. I would say that's most likely. Okay, we're going to do one more, and then I wanted to end with some general thoughts, because at this point of time, everybody, we're already sitting at 38 minutes again. Syrup, we're going to do Verk, because I actually looked at Syrup as well earlier today. And then we'll end with some general remarks and some general tips that I have going into tonight and going into tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow morning I'll be back with new videos, so don't worry. But just in the meanwhile, and obviously you also cannot always watch all the videos, of course. But Syrup, I think Syrup is a very strong project fundamentally. And that's why I had some price alerts on it. And those price alerts went off earlier today, because we have reached a major structural level. And you can see that right here. That's the level around 25 cents. Very important historically. The reclaim right here was also one of my best trades in December 2025. I traded it all the way into the highs right here. So very happy with that. But if Syrup is actually, like we got a nice bottom right here. If Syrup is going to be able to break above 25 cents right here, I think it's a buy. And I don't say this often, but I would almost say that Syrup is actually a strong spot buy, because the fundamentals for Syrup are actually quite strong. I'll show you that real quick right here. Syrup, Maple, I should actually look up then. Here, look, if you look at the revenue for Syrup, if you look at the fees, and if you look at the TVL, like they've done phenomenal, right? They have revenue right now of about $12 million. A lot of that is going back to holders of Syrup. And it is a protocol that actually held on relatively well in terms of the fundamentals. So generally very excited about this. Technically, I would wait for a reclaim of 25 cents though. So yeah, that's going to be it. I will be back with a live stream tomorrow again, right? So if I missed your request, first of all, I'm sorry, right? I try to cover everything that I see coming in, but it's a little bit difficult to cover everything. So my apologies for that. Hopefully I'll be able to cover it soon. Or you can also join the Telegram channel that we have and just ask me in there, and I'll be able to cover it as soon as I see that. But as final remarks, like I said, most important level for Bitcoin is 73,000. Get a breakdown below that in combination with bad fundamentals or longs trapped or some sort of a strong structure break. And I think a possible short is possible on Bitcoin. It's going to be very risky, right? It's going to be very risky, but it is a possibility. And then one coin I'd like to end with a potential long setup would be Doge. I actually do think that Doge has a lot of potential, but only, and this is quite greedy, but only if we get a move into 9.6, 9.5, spike down into that, good reaction, reclaim, buy, right? But those are my thoughts. That's what we're going to. That's how we're going into the next day. Hopefully, you all found a little bit of value in this live stream again. Thank you all very much for being here, and I will see you all again tomorrow in the videos. I'll see you there, right? Be there or be square, and then I think that's it. By the way, no, it's not necessary. But today I also made a new crypto review. Might be interesting. Check that out. But for now, that's it. Thank you for watching, everybody. Take care.